What's up, y'all? Shook here, back with another video on the Holy Paladin, doing some 3v3 arena. This is the build that I'm running for this session. For some of the games, I swapped out the improved Blessing of Protection, but other than that, it's pretty much the same build that I am running in Solo Shuffle. I swapped out Ultimate Sacrifice in some of the games, and that's about all I have to say about the build. Pretty much the same as all the other ones. So let's get into the games. So this first match is against a really popular comp, which is DK and Demon Hunter. They have a Holy Paladin healing them. I am running Divine Plea. I forgot to mention that a second ago. I'm running it over the AoE Judgment Dispel that I think I had at the time. I think the last match we played was against an Ellie Shaman or something like that, and I was running the Judgment Dispel just to kind of try it out over Cleanse the Weak. It's not very great. So right here, they are doing their opener. You know, I luckily was able to hold my bubble, and I didn't have to bubble their opening pressure. So what I'm going to do here is try and pull this Demon Hunter behind this pillar out of LOS from the Paladin, making sure they're okay over there. I'm going to Hodge him, he's going to trinket, and then I'm going to blind him immediately. So he's going to eat that full blind. We are getting a little bit of CC over here, and I'm going to come and try and do a little bit of damage. We did get the DK pretty low, but the Holy Paladin ended up juking us. So now I'm going to try and juke this Demon Hunter. I do get the juke, so I'm going to cast Hand of Divinity, and I get the pre-cog buff. So right here, like, one of the things I don't want to happen is for them to reconnect and me get, you know, too dangerously low. So I did actually trinket there. That's probably a bad trinket because you really want to save it for Strangulate. And it may cost me my bubble if I don't hold trinket for Strangulate. So they do connect with me again. And you notice at this point I have swapped the mini beacon to myself. I do go ahead and trade bubble with this one, so now I'm going to have to be really careful on their next go. I cast Tears Deliverance. I still have both Blessing and Protection, and I really honestly probably should have put the big beacon on myself. We get their Blessing and Protection on the DK, and you can see Plum coming over here to peel the Demon Hunter. So I was a little bit late on that Hodge. You see he glimpsed it. I should have Hodged over the top of his stun because I knew he was going to glimpse there, and I was trying to get like the max value out of it since it was going to be DR'd, but I should have just Hodged early, and we could have gotten a lot more pressure. You see that we do get the Demon Hunter's Netherwalk there, and right now it looks like they're swapping to Sorgal, and I think that just kind of loses it for them because the more cooldowns that I have up, I still have Lay on Hands available, I still have both Blessings of Protection. I'm going to get gripped in here again, so I didn't think that they had their go just ready yet, but apparently they did. So here's the Disorient. I'm probably going to want a Blessing of Protection immediately, and I do, so I Blessing of Protection right before this stun. So it's going to negate a decent chunk of damage. I do get Strangulated, but you can see I'm not going to fall behind too much just yet. They're getting me a little dangerously low. I'm going to end up burning Lay on Hands on Sorgal there just to kind of pick him back up. He was in Burrow. That's kind of one of the issues with this comp. If they end up getting us both low, like if I'm losing the 1v1 and they're losing the 2v2, we do get the DK really, really low there, and it looks like the Demon Hunter doesn't want me to Hodge him back behind here. He does have his trinket available though, so it looks like we've caged the Holy Paladin. I'm going to run over here and Hodge him. I'm going to blind him off this Hodge. He realizes that and he goes ahead and bubbles, so I'm just running back to the pillar again, and the DK grips me out. Right here I really need to cast Tears Deliverance. I did use Blessing of Protection. He used his Blood Elf Racial to get it off, which is kind of funny. I juke him there, and we go ahead and take down the DK. So, I don't know, kind of an interesting one where the Demon Hunter just wanted to train me the whole time. So yeah, we started at 2070 MMR, and we got up to 2200, which was around where we're hanging. We did fight some 2250 teams. I think we fought a 2270 team as well, but I think we lost those. Seems like right around 2200 to 2250 is where the teams get really, really tough, which is exactly what it was, you know, a couple weeks ago, which tells me that MMR hasn't really jumped that much. So unfortunately there we do overlap Sack with Netherwalk, because I wasn't sure if they were going to break me out of that CC. So I think Plum was just thinking that he was going to use his cooldown. I wasn't thinking, I was just kind of spamming Sack there, but they actually broke me out of the CC. So I think I said this in one of the last videos. if you overlap too much against RMP, you're just going to get punished for it. So luckily I still have my trinket available. I still have both bops available, and it looks like Sorgal is kind of standing on me. They did, and they go ahead and smoke bomb here, which is really strange. I honestly thought they were going to smoke bomb on Sorgal, but they saved it for Plum, and now he's just going to do a bunch of big damage here because we have really stabilized. Looks like he does get the full fear. I should probably go in for a Hodge here, and I do go for the Hodge, and maybe blind off, maybe a double blind. Nope, I missed the blind. He shadowy dueled me at the last second, and so it looked like somehow Plum was actually hitting him with the shadowy duel up. It was kind of interesting. Plum was like right on top of him, even in the duel. I do get full polyed here, so I'm going to go ahead and burn Trinket, and I do have Sack back available, so I use my Sack there. So now we're kind of, we have Bubble as our next out, you know, because they're going to have another go. So this is kind of a cat and mouse type thing. We just have to make sure we have a cooldown every single time they get their full chain, and that I can save Plum. Like either he has Trinket or he has a cooldown available, or I'm going to have to use one of my cooldowns. So I'd go ahead and use Blessing Protection there. Kind of questionable. You can see the mage trying to spell steal me. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that Blessing Protection. I probably could have held it. I think I was thinking on a full stun just for us to keep pressure. So I'm kind of chasing after Plum here. I dispelled off his root. Mage got precog. I hodged the priest. It looks like they want me, so I go ahead and wall here. I actually walled it 100%, and they might still get my bubble, which is kind of crazy. But then Plum uses darkness. That was a really, really clutch darkness, like so good. Like that saves bubble, which is again that's another cooldown that we want to hold because they can swap to Plum at any time and just kind of take him down. But right here, the priest is falling really far behind. I do kick him on his flash heal, and it looked like he greater fated there. I guess because that's shadow and kind of an odd thing to just choose right there. So I do have Sack available, so I can save Plum, and I'm also running the ultimate sacrifice, so I'm not really too worried about, you know, they weren't able to get him down well enough. I'm going to dispel him out of that polymorph, and he takes down the priest, I think after the priest swapped. So not the smoothest game, but we did trade, you know, effectively on most of their goes. Just the bop was kind of questionable. It ended up being okay. And it looks like, yeah, that was 21-21 MMR. So they were a pretty decent team. This team was really tough. I think we split with them. I think Arms Warrior Destro is just a really good comp right now. And it's kind of really tough to play them like in the long game, especially with the Resto Druid. So right here we do get the warrior like dangerously low. We get the cage. I'm trying to hold the Hodge for the last second. Plum gets the double stun, and it looks like we do get their trinket. There's the grounding from Sorgal. And they are just pumping all kinds of spread pressure. You can see the observer, and Sorgal is trying to kill the observer as quickly as possible. That actually did recently get a nerf. The Warlock Holy Locks me. Luckily I didn't fall too terribly far behind, but I think I called it out for Plum, and he used darkness. So a good darkness, especially with so many portals out, if we can stand in it. There's Sharpen Blade up, and they're swapping to Sorgal, and they are just pumping damage. So I am going to go ahead and use a Blessing of Protection, just because that was a Sharpen, and they were just doing a ton of damage. You can see we're kind of even with the Resto Druid's mana, and honestly, he's going to have way more output than I am, so we're kind of behind at this point, just because using that Blessing of Protection. We still have Lay on Hands, but, you know, the deeper we go into the match, the less impactful that's going to be. I run behind the pillar, cast Tears Deliverance, and I'm trying to pick everybody up. You can see how they're just doing a ton of spread pressure there, and they keep trying to like root Plum as soon as he gets you know, out of other CC, or if they're not going for him, which is really powerful versus a Demon Hunter. If the Druid knows what they're doing, they can kind of tool him. You see how much the Observer, like sort of all targeting it there again. The Observer was just chunking him. It does a ton of damage if it's left alive, and sometimes it'll spawn like in the air like that one, and Plum can't target it to kill it, so Sorgal is the one who has to kill it. He does get the full fear, so we're cross CC'd at this point. Have ultimate sack available, and I decided not to use it there, which was probably a good call, honestly. So they do swap to me. I go ahead and wall, and Sorgal uses grounding. So now Sorgal is going to get to do quite a bit of damage just free casting on this warrior. I'm trying to pull the warrior into like an awkward position. It looks like he doesn't really want to chase me that much, and they are splitting again. So Plum looks like he got rooted, and now he got stunned. He does use blur here, and a lot of these games in this meta are going into like which healer goes first, which I'm not necessarily a big fan of that meta. And me and Sorgal stacked and we got feared, so that's really, really bad. That's like one of the worst case scenarios where he like can't shimmer me, and I should probably swap Mini Beacon back to Plum because it's going to cause me to go a lot faster than if I had the beacon. But yeah, we were just all taking so much spread pressure that I decided to move it to me. But now that they're focusing him, it's probably better to move it back to him. I think oh, there we go. I went ahead and moved it right there. So if they swap to me, I may have to swap it back to myself. They're just like swapping around, and you can see people's health like chunking like constantly. Does look like Plum is getting some pressure here. They go ahead and fear him. They're just like spamming fear, and I do go ahead and trinket that fear. I don't know if we had Trimmer available for that one, and I give, it looks like Sorgal, I give him the Blessing of Summer to try and get some pressure out. The Druid apparently shadow melted or stealthed at some point because it removed my focus. I do reset the focus to him. He's running Innervate right now, so you can see we're still kind of neck and neck in mana. I need to drink at some point, like really, really bad, because he's going to get ahead with that Innervate right here, and I do go for the drink. So I'm just sitting here. I have Ultimate Sacrifice available, and I'm going to pop my head out, and I use it on Sorgal. We don't have Lay on Hands available, and we do get feared here, so again, I also need to go ahead and use my other blessing here. It's getting dangerous here. I do use my second blessing of protection there. I think Plum used Nether Walk. Observer does come out, and it's chunky. You see Plum is trying to target Observer. He knows that we really need to kill it, and because it's going to do like 10% of the health per spell cast. And it looks like the Druid is also going for a drink here again. We're getting to that point where our mana is a really, really big issue. It looks like Sorgal cast his healing spell, which does a little bit of healing when he does damage, and he's starting to pump out some damage there, and you can see me catch up almost instantaneously. I'm going to go ahead and cast my Divine Plea there, because again, I am running Divine Plea in almost all those matches, especially over the Cleanse talent, and I'm trying to do big damage to this warrior right here, and we actually don't take him down. We get him to like 1% and he doesn't go down. I dispel the fear on Plum, and then Sorgal immediately gets feared after that, and I can't dispel that one. I'm casting Hand of Divinity, and at this point the Resto Druid has like 6k mana, so it's just, kind of a killer be killed moment here. I do get feared, but it's super DR'd, so that one's not as bad as the other one, and I do have another Blessing of Protection up, so this goes to what I was saying about running that improved Blessing of Protection where it's on the reduced cooldown, and I'm trying to make use of all my infusion procs that I can, but I still end up going The Resto Druid is also He only has 4.3k mana. The Observer does come out, and I think right here, yeah, I used the Blessing of Protection a little late. Probably would have been a little better to use it sooner. Plum's hanging out around 20%. You can see the Observer is still alive. Resto Druid is on E, and we do take the warrior down. So crazy tough match. That team, like I said, we were going back and forth with that team. They were pretty tough, and it seems like everyone at this MMR has been 2400 before. I'm not sure why this season is so deflated. It's really strange, but if you check PvP, anyone in the 2200 range, they've all been 2400 before, and it feels harder to push this season than in past seasons. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, all that jazz helps me out a ton. And yeah, I'm going to start back up the Solo Shuffle series at some point, I promise. I just haven't had time here lately. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.